All right. Today is kind of a weird, different thing. There's a conversation that I wanted to have for a while about how you actually write description, and a tool that I use in particular to really create a sense of place. So I thought I would share that with you. And it's a tool called Aspects that I use for description. Now, the best way to actually see aspects and to really understand how they can be used is to actually see them in action. So today we're getting out of the office a little bit, and I'm going for a bit of a drive, and I'm going to pop into some different locations around town, and I'm actually going to create some aspects for you that I would use to describe these places. We are at our first stop. This is the Intercontinental Hotel in Kansas City. It's a really big, fancy hotel. They got a pretty cool ballroom upstairs. Let's go take a look. Okay, this is the Intercontinental Ballroom. It's a nice place, really fancy. So if I was going to describe this place, there's 3 aspects that I would describe. The first one is I would describe the fact that there are giant windows with a view of the city. The second aspect that I would describe is the fact that this room currently has round tables spread throughout the entire room. Makes it kind of cramped. A lot of chairs in here. The third thing, for me personally, is I would describe the fact that there's a nice big roaring fireplace over on the far wall. It's just a very cozy feeling. Now, there are other elements if you wanted to describe them. For example, you could describe the charming, elaborate chandeliers that provide a lot of light. Or maybe you want to emphasize the fact that there is a piano. There was someone here playing it earlier today. Those are all perfectly fine aspects, but those to me are the elements that really stand out in this room. This is a fancy place, but there's still some other stops in Kansas City I want to show you. Let's go. That is a T-Rex out front of the building. This is Union Station. This is the Grand Lobby. If I was going to describe this place, here's a few aspects I would use. Number 1. As you can see, the ceilings are really, really tall. I want to say these are like 30 or 40 feet ceilings. They are gargantuan. The second aspect that I would use is I would use the fact that it's really loud in here. Because the space is so big, lots of things echo. I'm sure you can hear the difference. This is not a quiet location. So the third aspect that I would use if I was describing this place was I would mention all the little ornate detailing that is present throughout this room, because that's something that really does uniquely add to the atmosphere of this gallery. It's what keeps it from being a boring, plain, giant, empty room. Another incredibly important aspect of Union Station is the fact that in this main lobby, there is actually a balcony that runs all the way around. So it's a really interesting space, especially because when you stop to take a look, you realize that it's quite a view. As much as I love Union Station, it's time to move on to the third and final stop of the day, a coffee shop. This is called Pilgrim Copy. If I was going to use aspects to describe this location, here's a few things that I would use. Number 1, I would also say that it's loud in here. This isn't like the big echoes, though, that you see at Union Station, but instead this is just like lots of people talking, lots of overheard conversation. There's also some music playing in the background that you can probably hear, which makes it really interesting. It's noisy, but in a different fashion. The second aspect that I would use to describe this place, and this is something you can't quite see from this footage, but it smells delicious in here. It smells of coffee, it smells of their pastries. It's something that's just really, really tasty. And so whenever you open the door, there's just that whiff of pastries and coffee that's delightful to come in the door at. The third thing that I would notice is that, and this is something that's kind of weirdly specific, but you'll see over my shoulder the light fixtures. They have these hanging light fixtures throughout the entire place. And so those light fixtures make a really, really interesting bit of ambiance. They're just these big, gorgeous, squares dangling above all of us, and they provide a lot of interesting light. It's part of the unique aesthetic of this place. All right, so that's it. That's the adventure that I wanted to take you on through Kansas City, and I hope that you could see through each one of those locations that I was able to come up with some slightly different aspects. And again, aspects aren't anything fancy. They're just like a sentence or a bullet point, something precise. And practically the way that I use them is I keep them on a reference card or in a reference document. So when I go back to that location, I have those same elements to refer back to. And whenever I have a character in those scene, I want them to engage with one or more aspects of a scene, ideally all of the aspects. It's nothing that's super complicated, but it's also one of those things that was so simple that I for a long time completely missed this, and I was trying to overkill with all this elaborate planning or this really, really extended description, and you don't have to do that. It's a very simple way to get some very interesting senses of place in your story. So that's it. That's all I had for today. I know it was kind of a different video, but I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you liked what you saw, please feel free to like, share, or subscribe. If you have any questions about aspects or how to use them, feel free to let me know down below in the comments, or feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I'm there entirely too much. I'm at BowtieRider. Otherwise, that's it. That's all I have for today. I will see you all next time.